On this episode of the Apple Watchers, Apple Watch doesn't detect AFib as much as you think. Apple Watch Series 6 and watchOS 7 may have shareable faces, kids modes, and blood oxygen detection. Apple co-founder falsely speculates family sinus infection made him patient zero for coronavirus. Apple possibly allowing ads and push notifications. Apple developing its own fitness app for iOS 14. All this, our picks, tips, and much more. This is episode number 21. Welcome to the Apple Watchers, a podcast covering all things Apple Watch and many things Apple. This episode and every episode is brought to you by me, Kevin Hare, and my co-host, Jonathan Zarko, aka Jay-Z. All right, let's get started. Well, hello. How you doing?
Doing good. Trying to stay inside, stay healthy. How about you?
Same here. Yeah. And it's raining. We're finally getting some rain here in California, in Southern California.
Which is fitting too, because it does help to tend to keep people inside, which is good. And also
Yeah.
it's gonna clean everything, right? That's how that works. Definitely not gonna create a wet, moist space for viruses and bacteria to grow and thrive, right?
That's right. It's gonna wash them to
Just
the
wash
ocean.
away. Yeah.
That's
Perfect.
right. Funny. Well, we don't have any short Apple Watch stories, so why don't we get into some Apple Watch extended stories to start this episode off?
Yeah. So 9 to 5 Mac actually had a really great article on AFib and the Apple Watch. And apparently, the Apple has acknowledged in its FDA submission that the Apple Watch cannot detect AFib when the heart rate is above 120 beats per minute. And a report today suggests that means that it may fail to detect the condition in anywhere between 30 to 60% of the cases. And so while Apple's always been careful to stress the limitations of the watch's ability to detect AFib, it's still, in past episodes, we've been talking about how it's been saving people. So there has been some kind of association with people saying like, oh yeah, it's still detecting it. But yeah, basically this article's coming out and saying that there is a possibility of it failing to catch 30 to 60% of it. Apple openly indicates that it's a smartwatch is not consistently looking for AFib and that people with AFib may not get a notification. However, it does say that the inability of the watch to detect AFib when the user's heart rate is above 120 beats per minute is a very significant limitation. So AFib typically has a heart rate of 100 to 175 beats per minute. So that is kind of a large chunk of the, kind of realm of where AFib could be detected that is potentially being missed. In a recent clinical study published in Circulation, researchers examined the ability of the Apple Watch to detect AFib in a group of patients post-cardiac surgery, a common complication after this procedure. The study found that the Apple Watch detected the abnormality in about 34 of 90 instances, so an accuracy of only 41%. And there have been a few studies. One study found that Apple Watch doesn't detect AFib in around a third of the cases, while a second one found that the failure rate may be as high as 59%. So the concern expressed in this piece is that it may create a false sense of security, and that someone who might otherwise suspect that they have an issue may be reassured if their Apple Watch is reporting nothing. The irregular rhythm notifications, as they've described by Apple, are part of Apple Watch's alerts nonetheless, potentially creating a false sense of security for a consumer who might not have read or might not have understood the important caveats Apple has noted. So, of course, Apple's answer to this would be that without a device like an Apple Watch, the detection rate among asymptomatic people would be zero. So somewhere between 40 and 70% chance of detection is still massively better than nothing. So yeah, it's just for everybody who has it. I don't think, hopefully, we've ever tried to give any kind of indication that it's a foolproof plan. And I think Apple is just erring on the side of caution for what it claims. But yes, it is worth stressing the point that if you have a reason for concern, consult a doctor, even if your Apple Watch thinks that everything is all well.
Yeah. And it's, even when I saw this article, I was like, well, it's helped save a lot of lives. We usually have stories about the Apple Watch saving lives and detecting AFib, so I would think it does more good than harm.
Hmm.
That's for sure. And I've heard, and if we see any articles, we'll drop them in future episodes. But I've heard that they're working on improving this as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
um,
definitely something for the future, I think. And for most people nowadays, it's not like you should ignore any kind of alert from an Apple Watch, but on the converse side of that, you shouldn't assume you're fine just because your Apple Watch isn't giving you any kind of notification.
yeah. So moving on, have you seen the Oppo Watch, John?
The yes, the Apple Watch, I've definitely seen it. We have a whole
I,
podcast
s-
about it, Kevin.
I said Oppo Watch.
Uh,
It sounds like I'm saying Apple Watch, but I'm saying Oppo.
oh,
OPPO, the Oppo Watch. It looks pretty much exactly like an Apple Watch,
yeah.
like blatantly.
Waiting for lawyers to
Almost
get
on the
involved.
almost on the lawsuit kind of.
I don't know if I'd say almost. I would actually be
Yeah.
very surprised if there's not some kind of lawsuit that comes out of this.
Yeah, especially because we've discussed before the Samsung S1 phone that looked
Hmm.
identical to an iPhone. I mean, all
Yeah,
except the back of it was
yeah.
slightly different. So I don't know. But it does have 5 features that people want, and a lot of us are wanting. It has sleep tracking, multi-week battery life, a
Holy
thinner
cow!
design, yeah, fast charging, AI-powered watch faces. So, let's dive into a few of these features. So, Fitbit has had sleep tracking for years. Oppo claims its watch can deliver on the promise of sleep tracking by generating a sleep report of the user's duration of deep sleep, light sleep, and awake time. I wonder how well it works because there's apps for the Apple Watch that I use that are supposed to do that, and they definitely don't detect when you're kind of moving around in bed and you're awake. I
Mm.
actually don't know how a watch would do that. It doesn't see that your eyes are open.
Yeah, how to determine you turning over versus like actually being up.
But nonetheless, we expected sleep tracking in the Apple Watch Series 5, but it didn't come. So probably the Series 6 would be
Hmm.
my guess.
Yeah.
And as far as the multi-week battery life, well, yeah, I would say, us Apple Watchers or Apple Watch users have just sort of been used to 1 day of battery life,
Hmm.
and sometimes it could be a little less. But pretty much, I mean, I would say almost all other smartwatches on the market last much longer than that. And this
Yeah, but
one's
they also don't
claiming
offer a lot of the same features. I
that's
think that's
true.
kind of the thing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the background. That actually raises the point again. I think we talked about on the last episode is that there should be an Apple Watch and an Apple Watch Pro.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, less
um,
functions, but allows you to have some of the features, but for a longer duration.
yeah, maybe longer battery life. I would like to see 2 days, and my reason being that I would use the watch even more, but still charge it daily.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So just like use the heck out of it. But I'm kind of a little careful with it, because I don't want to use up the battery. I want to get a whole day. I want to sleep with it. Although
Hmm.
it has been better lately, I've been waking up and still having like 30 to 40%, which is what my Series 4 would get. So,
And when you put it on the charger after, like while you're getting ready in the morning, how much battery life do you get? Because you don't get all the way up to 100, right?
oh, when I put it on the charger,
Hmm.
there's like 30 or 40% left.
No, but when you
But
take it off the charger, then do you get it back up to 100?
I do, and that
Oh,
brings me to the the claim that this Oppo Watch is making about fast charging because I know I've mentioned this maybe on a few episodes, but my watch will charge. It's a Series 5. It'll charge to 99% and then sit there for 15, 20 minutes,
to get that last little blop, yeah.
which is odd. It
Hmm.
it really is odd. Um, so fast charging would be something I would definitely be interested in. Um, so we won't know about the battery life on this Apple Watch until it's in people's hands and they're testing it out.
Yeah, the fact that it's even thinner too to me is impressive. You know, like that it's got the multi-week battery life, and the fast charging. And they didn't get that by putting in a larger battery, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how well their claims hold up and really understand the feature set that comes with it and the reliability of the feature set.
Yeah. Wow, the thinner design too.
Mm-hmm.
It says it's like 4.5 millimeters thick. That's
It's like
man.
half the size.
Yeah. Let's
Hmm.
see. And yeah, it says it takes well, let's see. Well, I guess their fast charging says it takes about 75 minutes, but after 15 minutes on the charger, you'll get enough juice for around 18 hours of use. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see that in the Apple Watch as
That's
well.
like in the AirPod Pros, right? You put them on the charger for 5 minutes and you get 80% of your battery life back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Apple's learning and playing with batteries, and they figured out how to do them for the AirPods. Maybe we'll see a next iteration of the iPhone or Apple Watch that is thinner and longer battery life.
Yeah, like I said, it would be cool to have 2 days of battery life,
Hmm.
and then if you start to get really low, put it on a fast charge,
Yeah.
that's what I would like to see. That would be really great. But this has another feature that you would like. There doesn't seem to be any digital crown visible on the Oppo
Yes.
Watch. So are you going to switch over to an Oppo Watch?
I don't know.
I mean, you
Maybe.
could just tell
Mm.
people Apple Watch.
I
Oh
have an
yeah, you
Apple
have an
Watch.
Apple Watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks just like it. How come yours seems thinner? I
Yeah.
don't know though. It's a. I don't know if I trust this company. It's all my data
Yeah.
then getting shipped over to some server and.
This article actually doesn't say whether it'll be available in America or how that's going to work. So anyways.
Well, talking about the next generation, so the Apple Watch Series 6 and watchOS 7 may have shareable faces, as well as a kid mode. So this is coming to us from Apple Insider. So Apple is responding to the competition in the marketplace. And with the next major release of watchOS, could offer features to share customized watch faces with other users, along with a new Pro version of the infograph watch face that would add a tachometer to the collection of shareable elements and child-friendly elements. So speculation's already started that the Apple Watch Series 6 with a suggestion of improvements to the ECG and a new blood oxygen detection system proposed for the device. Not all features Apple will announce at its launch will pertain to the new hardware, with some software specific changes likely to also affect earlier models. In the exploration of the code allegedly for iOS 14, seen by 9 to 5 Mac, Apple Watch users will be able to share their watch face configurations with other people. While it's unclear if specific watch faces will be shareable between Apple Watch units directly, it is claimed that there's an ability to share configurations for faces with others, which may be interpreted by the watch to configure a watch face it has installed or access to on the paired iPhone. And so configuration settings will include color, styles, complication selections, which can be shared as a file and previewable in the Files app. And it'll also be reportedly shareable by the share sheet within the Apple Watch app on iOS, so you can pass it along through like AirDrop. Apparently, no sign of third-party watch face support within OS 7. Um, and along with shareable configurations, a new watch face will be introduced. So this Infograph Pro will follow on from the Infograph and the Infograph Modular that the Apple Watch Series 4 had, with the key change being the inclusion of that tachometer. So, an analog scale that measures speed and distance based on travel time. The feature is more used on analog watch faces than on digital versions. And it's not currently clear how the tachometer will be represented on the watch face. The photo watch faces are also touted, where users will be able to personalize the face using images stored within their iPhone or the Apple Watch Photos app. The face will be able to cycle through image collections in an album whenever the Apple Watch is woken up, which is kind of cool. Image sources for the face will include individual photos, albums, and shared albums, with the latter able to be jointly accessed albums that can be viewed and contributed to by other users. So that'd be kind of fun. You could, you know, for your parents or something like that, if you have children, they could have an Apple Watch face that you're constantly adding new photos to. So there also a new feature that they're looking at for watchOS 7 is to make the Apple Watch more usable for children. While it's currently possible to activate multiple Apple Watches to one iPhone, it is only possible to operate one at a time with all linked to the same account. Under watchOS 7, it is claimed a mode will allow parents to activate a child's Apple Watch on the parent's iPhone instead of having to have the child have an iPhone. There'll also be management that'll allow for the parent to designate trusted contacts, music the child can listen to, and possibly other controls. And a school time feature will potentially let parents limit what apps and features could be accessed at specific times of the day, such as during class, which is very smart in my
That
opinion.
that's funny. The non-cheating mode.
Yeah, yeah. Or you shouldn't be listening to music in the middle of chemistry. Other controls touted in watchOS 7 include the return of the sleep tracking rumors. So I think again, if the Oppo Watch can do it, then hopefully the Apple Watch will be able to too. A control center on Apple Watch, which would be kind of cool, so you can access other apps and things like that, and a change of architecture for the Apple Watch apps that no longer require apps to be based on extensions. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, Kevin, is the whole idea of a shareable watch face. And I don't know. I mean, aside from like the scenario I kind of recommended, where you have like a parent, right, or some family member that you want to share photos with, like a whole configured version. I'm wondering what you think would be a use case for that.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of not clear on how this would work because I don't know why you would want a shared watch face. I mean, I guess with a kid, I
Maybe.
guess, but even that, I don't know. I can't really figure
I
out
mean,
how.
I was thinking like if you okay, so maybe if they opened it up so that organizations could create
Mm,
an app face and then push it out. So imagine you were running in a marathon, and as part of your entry fee or your swag that you get, you can download a LA Marathon uh, watch face, and it's pre-configured to have like distance and time and stuff like that already set
mm.
up, and have specialized colors and things like that. That so maybe like for that, but it seems weird to put in that much work for a shareable watch face for like a promotional type thing.
Yeah, that would be a little odd. You know, and on the subject of watch faces, we've discussed probably quite a while back. I think I mentioned I would rather see watch faces that change at a different times of the day,
Yeah, yeah, that would
stuff
be
like
nice.
that. Like I would like a different watch face at work, and then it just automatically changes, at
Yeah,
6 o'clock when I leave. Something like that. I'd rather see that more than like a shareable watch face. I
yeah.
don't know. In my head, I can't picture how this would work.
Yeah, I
A
kind of have like a
shareable.
manual version of that where I have a watch face for the weekend or for home versus one for work, and I just swipe across for them. But it would be nice
Yeah.
if I could to tell it like on the weekends show this one, and when I get home
Yeah.
show this one, and between the hours of 11 p.m. and later show this one, and have it set up so that it's
Yeah.
yeah you know
I would
more
actually
configured.
even like to see the auto launch audio face
Mm-hmm.
be on a timer. Like cuz I like using it at work,
Mm-hmm.
but then when I get home, sometimes I'll be making dinner or whatever and listening to a podcast, but I really don't need that watch face
Yeah.
anymore. I
Yeah.
just don't, and I would like to see that on a timer too, that
I
we
would
can set.
actually if I mean they've already have some of the programming in it, and granted the devices are different, but I would actually be super interested in a more configurable um, action sheet kind of thing on the iPhone, right? Like you go to your
Mhm.
control center when you swipe over from the dashboard. Yeah, you can choose what applications are showing things on there, and you can change their order and stuff like that. But it would be really cool to be able to configure that and have things side by side, or make a clock really big and choose to have that as my default screen as opposed to my applications. And like I don't know, I
Yeah.
almost wish they'd give me a little bit more configuration control on the iPhone like they do on the watch.
Yeah. Yeah. It would it would be more like an Android phone. I think we
Hmm.
we
I mean, I'm not
mentioned that
saying.
on the last episode.
Look, good design comes from a lot of places. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that the Android devices are better, which because they're definitely not. But I'm just saying that there might be things that we can borrow from them. They've certainly borrowed a lot from Apple. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we did, like I said, we discussed it on the last episode, and there's definitely some features that would work well, that are on Android that would
mhm.
be great. if Apple would kind of copy it a little bit. So
Yeah, you have an article here too coming up about the blood oxygen detection feature, which we kind of previewed up here, but maybe you can get into that because that's going to be kind of interesting as well.
there was a whole the feature was found in an iOS 14 code snippet. And on a side note, this article, it was written by this guy Zach Hall. He works at 9 to 5 Mac, but he also has a podcast called 9 to 5 Watch Time, and that show's pretty good. It focuses more on Apple Watch related to fitness and how it
Mm.
affects people's life. So, yeah, and I think that show was probably, yeah, it came out a little bit after ours, like a week or two after our first episode.
Mm.
They dropped their first episode.
We're a trendsetter. That's how it is.
Well, sort of. There's actually one more Apple Watch podcast as well, but I guess we were the second. But anyways, back to the story. Apple is developing at least 2 new features focused on health that will expand Apple Watch capabilities in the future. Apple Watch will add the ability to detect blood oxygen levels for the first time. 9 to 5 Mac has learned based on an exclusive look at iOS 14 code snippets. So, blood oxygen levels between 95 and 100% are considered healthy. Blood oxygen levels below 80% may lead to compromised heart and brain functionality. Risk of respiratory and cardiac arrest is common after continued low blood oxygen saturation. To that end, Apple is developing a new health notification based on the vital measurement. When Apple Watch detects low blood sugar saturation below a certain threshold, a notification will trigger, alerting the user, similar to current heart rate notifications. It's unclear at this point what hardware and software will be required for blood oxygen detection and notifications. It's possible future Apple Watch Series 6 hardware will be required for the new health feature. It could also come for all new Apple Watch models with watchOS 7 in the fall. The original Apple Watch hardware is believed to be capable of measuring blood oxygen levels through the built in heart rate monitor. Apple upgraded the heart rate monitor with Apple Watch Series 4, adding electrocardiogram features, but Apple Watch hasn't offered blood oxygen measurement features yet. The feature is one that competitors have already tackled, including Fitbit, and is being acquired, which is being acquired by Google, although Apple could potentially offer a more sophisticated version using some FDA method as its ECG function. Speaking of ECG feature, Apple is working on removing a current shortcoming. Yeah, we talked. So this goes to an article that we were talking about earlier about the high heart rate.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, this is what I kind of was talking about. They're working on fixing the heart rates that are between 100 and 120 beats per minute and being able to detect that.
Well, it's cool. So they're continuing to move on with their march towards becoming a better health tracking option. And I think the
Yeah.
blood oxygen detection is really good because I feel like that's a very important feature that people don't realize is also affecting their like their workouts and stuff too, right? Just making sure that you are getting enough oxygen into your body. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for benefits to come from that. And in true Apple fashion, of course, yes, they're not always the first to come out with a thing, but when they do it, they try to do it the best. And so I definitely could see them trying to offer some kind of FDA approved method. It's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be cool. I'm pretty sure they continue always to dump a lot of research and development money into this Apple Watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, and then the last little bit about this, I mean, I know that everybody has been waiting in bated breath, but apparently in watchOS 7, they're going to have new international flag faces. So you can show your American pride or whatever your nationality or heritage is on your Apple Watch face. And it's about dang time.
I I guess yeah, this does not excite me at all.
I might do it on the
It
4th of July. That's
well, and I mean I would have to see how they implement it too, because right now technically you can do that. You can just get a photo of a flag
yeah, and
and
have that
add
in
it
the
to the
back. Yeah.
background, and there's your flag
I
face.
I think it
So
was
I
more like they have the little emoji of the flag, and so they have the graphics of the flag assets for,
yeah.
a lot of different countries, and they can easily just kind of scale those up. So it's a fun little thing and a way to kind of show inclusion for the entire world, which is good. But yeah, so OS 7 I think is going to be watchOS 7 is going to be pretty great.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll cover some stories as it gets closer to any type of announcement. But well, why don't we move on to some Apple stories? Just some quick little Apple stories here.
Yeah, so we had kind of talked about how the virus is affecting California, but we can kind of see it as well, just in some of the Apple locations. The Today at Apple series has been canceled in Seattle and San Francisco due to the coronavirus. And this is coming from Mac Daily News. But yeah, basically they're canceling all of the Today at Apple sessions at Apple retail stores, particularly in Seattle and San Francisco, because those are coronavirus hotspots. Searching for Today at Apple sessions in the San Francisco Bay Area or around Seattle provides results that say there are currently no classes available. And Apple has also canceled all field trip programs, which allowed teachers to take students to Apple stores. Apple sent out the notices to the stores in these areas, asking them to cancel all sessions from March 8th through the 29th, according to an Apple retail source that spoke with Mac Rumors. Apple has also canceled Today at Apple sessions in Italy, and there's a little bit of a thing we're going to talk about later on, but that also makes sense considering what's going on over there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see more of these sessions get canceled in other cities, predominantly in California, considering that the governor has kind of issued this decree that, or order that they need to cancel all events that can potentially have more than 250 people in them. And we're seeing a lot of offices and stuff canceling meetings and working, asking people to work from home. So
Yeah. I just heard today too. I didn't find a story and wasn't able to slip it in here, but I've heard at Apple stores too, they're really focusing on keeping a distance, like the workers keeping a distance from customers,
mm-hmm.
limited touching, stuff like that. Even the table where you can try on a watch, they're like, maybe you
Maybe
don't want to
don't.
try it on, maybe you want to just skip it.
I wonder if they're
And
like excessively cleaning all of their
they
devices every 15
They
minutes or
they
something.
are. I actually heard that last week. So, yeah, what I heard last week is that they were, cleaning the entire
Mm.
store regularly, and then definitely wiping down the devices, like, I don't know how often at this point, but a lot.
Yeah. Today,
Um
actually, at work, I had to show a prototype to a director on my phone. And so before handing my phone to her, I grabbed a Clorox wipe and just wiped it
Oh,
all
man.
down. And she saw me. I'm wiping it. I'm like, here, it's safe now. You can use the prototype on my phone. And then, but you just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You never
Yeah, and
know.
the last thing too regarding Apple stores is I think they're limiting the amount of people that can be in a store at one time right
Oh,
now.
that's also smart. Yeah. They
Yeah.
do tend to
So
draw crowds. So, yeah.
yeah, for sure. It could, I mean, yeah, on a Saturday or Sunday, it could get pretty crowded in there.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's not a good situation.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. If you have an iPad Air 3, you may have issues with it. So Apple offers free iPad Air 3 repairs to fix blank screen issue. Apple confirms that some iPad Air 3 models have an issue that causes the screen to flicker or flash and then permanently go blank.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That sounds
Apple is
useful.
off yeah. Apple is offering a free iPad Air 3 service program for all affected iPad owners. You have 2 years from the day you bought your iPad to take an advantage of the program. Okay. I don't know if you just got an alert. I just got an alert. That's random. Something about not spreading the coronavirus,
You
right?
know.
As we're doing this podcast. So, on the dedicated page for the service program, Apple explains that models affected by the issue were manufactured between March and October of 2019. If you own an iPad Air 3 and have experienced the blank screen issue, you are likely eligible for a repair and won't cost you a penny, as Apple says on its site. So from their site, it says Apple has determined that under certain circumstances, the screen on the limited number of iPad Air 3 third generation devices may go blank permanently. Yeah, we said that. It brief flicker and then screen goes blank. Uh, One note too is that it's this program is not available for any other iPad models. That's just the iPad Air 3. And in order to begin the process of having your iPad Air 3 handled, you have a few options. You can find an authorized Apple service repair or service provider in your area by entering the relevant information onto the page, and we'll provide a link in the show notes for it. You can make an appointment in the Apple Store, although that may change really soon. Or you can contact Apple support and arrange to have your iPad mailed in for repair service. That might be a better idea at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, just saying. Um,
All things considered.
yeah. Apple, of course, recommends that anyone who opts to take advantage of the free service program should back up their iPad to the cloud if possible before heading to the Apple Store or shipping it off.
There's a good
It's
chance,
also
yeah,
worth
you're gonna get it back blank.
yeah, definitely. Well, you should be backing it up on the regular, of course,
Yeah.
too. It's also worth noting that if there's any damage to the iPad, which makes it more difficult for the repair to be completed, such as a cracked screen, it will have to be resolved beforehand and may cost end up having an extra cost associated with it. So,
Mm.
um, let's see. Yeah, and finally, the program was started just a few days ago, probably about 5 days ago or so, at the time of this recording, and it will cover affected third generation iPad models for 2 years for the first retail sale of the unit. Yeah, we kind of said that already. So, anyways, we'll have a link in the show notes and uh, to the page,
Yeah.
Apple's support page, where you can find links to take care of that if you have that model. So,
So hopefully it's not everybody, but yeah, if you are having issues, know that Apple's trying to solve it, which is cool.
yeah, and definitely, get it fixed, and it
Hmm.
should be free.
Yeah,
Perfect.
which is good news. Um, Not so good news, although still in news. Apple News is launching a coronavirus special coverage with curated stories and resources. And so, because of the COVID-19 virus continuing to spread across the US and other countries, Apple News is collecting important stories and resources to inform and prepare readers for the coronavirus. This new dedicated special coverage coronavirus section in Apple News Spotlight includes the latest updates from CNN, the Wall Street Journal, and the Los Angeles Times. The section also promotes general health stories relevant to the coronavirus preparation, including tips on hand washing, disinfectant cleaners that can kill the virus, and how to prepare for self quarantining. Readers can also find informative graphics, including a map of where the virus has reached around the globe, sources from Johns Hopkins, and recommended resources from the CDC, the State Department, and more. Apple News has experience creating special event coverage with national elections and other high profile events, although this is the first time the service was needed following a health crisis. So, in our show notes, we have a link to the special coverage coronavirus section in Apple News Spotlight. So, if
Yeah,
you can't find it, just find our show notes, and Kevin's got a link for you guys.
yeah. It sometimes it won't show up right away for whatever reason. I don't know. Just a few days ago, my fiance couldn't see it,
I'm guessing
and
that it may have to do with her preferences that she has, like how like she has it configured based off what she's been
maybe
doing, and so maybe the algorithm hasn't
maybe
pushed it yet. But I'm sure
yeah
at a certain point everybody will get it if they haven't.
Yeah, and then with this link, you can just go to that section in Apple News, and then you can hit that like button, and that should take care of it and keep it there for you.
Yeah.
But it's very comprehensive. It kind of weeds out maybe some false information.
Hmm.
Everything that I saw in there looked pretty legit and helpful because you do want to stay away from a lot of false information as well.
Yeah.
And that heat map is pretty good. Yeah, and on the design looks pretty nice too as well. So,
Hmm.
um, anyways, this came in. This is kind of not a surprise if you're following COVID-19, the coronavirus. All Apple stores are closed in Italy, which seems like a given because I don't think they have a choice. From what
Right.
I've heard is
Because the
all
entire country is.
retail. Yeah, all retail is closed and yeah, and the country is like sectioned off and closed, so I don't think people are even going anywhere whatsoever. So that's kind of a given. So, um
It's funny to me that people are like hoarding and stocking up on bottles of water and toilet paper and not cans of like marinara sauce and pasta. Because that's
well,
gonna and cheeses. That's gonna be the things that's hard to get
well
the coming
actually
days.
sort of related. Um we've checked some Smart and Finals. So besides toilet paper, hand sanitizer, they did have bottled water at one location, a lot of it, but all the rice and beans were gone, like the big giant bags, like the 10, 20 pound
Oh,
bags.
like large staple.
Yeah, gone.
I don't understand. Like,
Well,
are people concerned that it's just gonna we're not
I
gonna be
think
able to get
it's
those things anymore?
well, here's the thing. I think it's the quarantine part. Like if you had to quarantine yourself for 14 days, toilet paper, food. But the bottled water, you can hook up a filter to your tap.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not, you would need bottled water in an earthquake because you can't drink tap
Mhm.
water.
Well, and in most
But
places too, like even the tap water is safe to drink. I can't
yeah,
say
I mean,
all
if you,
because
yeah, it
my
depends
Michigan's
on
a
where
little
you
messed up, but
live
like,
and,
yeah.
but yeah, the bottled water I don't really understand. And yeah, I wish they would stop people from hoarding everything.
Well, and if
It's
you're
gotten out of hand. I
yeah,
guess they're doing that in some stores now. My fiance went to buy some isopropyl alcohol where you can make your
mhm,
own hand sanitizer. They were out of it, but the sign there said like one per customer, which they should have done
yeah.
things like that a long time ago because
We
people are, they're like, I need 800 pounds of toilet paper.
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
saw somebody or actually on over the weekend we were in pavilions and they had a similar sign up for their cases of bottled water and it said a maximum of 2 cases per person. And they had a giant stack of them, but still I
Yeah.
was like, who's buying more than 2? Like why?
Yeah. It's
Even if you're
crazy.
under quarantine, can't other people bring you things and like
Yeah.
put it outside your door and then leave? Like I don't understand why we have to freak out. Or we is
Yeah.
everybody thinking that they're going to be put under quarantine? Because like
Yeah.
here's the thing and we can move on after this, but it's just funny to me that the virus is serious,
Yeah.
but it's really serious because it spreads so easily, and it doesn't seem to be super impactful to healthy younger adults. But healthy younger adults seem to be able to transmit it very easily. And so, while it may make you sick for a couple of days, it could potentially make other people very, very sick. And so, that's kind of the danger and why it makes sense to me. Whether we're canceling events and trying to keep people separated and stuff like that. But this whole panic of like, I have to have all the beans and toilet paper, it just
Yeah.
seems really odd to me and silly.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah, the N95 masks, you can't
Yeah,
find those, which hurt certain industries as well. I saw an article that certain workers need those masks. They're actually
yeah,
required to wear them
nurses and
for their
stuff.
job, and they're not
Yeah,
allowed to work without them. And now they can't do their job because people have been hoarding them, and they
yeah,
were selling them on eBay, and then eBay finally shut that down. They shut
yeah.
down hand sanitizer and the N95 masks. So
Mm.
all you people that were sitting on 800 pounds of or had like 80 boxes of those masks and we're hoping to
Yeah.
sell them. Now you're stuck with them.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Thank you
Good
very
job, buddy.
much. Yeah, enjoy. Maybe you can hand them out to people that need them, people who are sick.
But
Yeah,
we can blame
so
Steve Wozniak.
yeah, so moving on to some Apple extended stories and still related to the coronavirus. So this happened on Monday, March 2nd, so it's a little old, but um Steve Wozniak took to Twitter explaining that his wife had a bad cough returning from China in early January. The tweet was geotagged from Foursquare, indicating that he and his wife were being examined at Santa Clara's West Coast Sports Institute. So he actually claimed that him and his wife might have been patient zero.
Mhm.
And man, I was panicked. I think I sent you the
Yeah.
tweet. Uh, But turns out, I don't know how many days later it was, but according to the tweet that he sent later, a few days later, his wife Janet has been suffering from respiratory distress for nearly 2 months, noting that her symptoms started on January 4th. But then an update, uh, in the update, she said that she just had a sinus infection and not COVID-19. So
Yeah, that's
I
the other thing
think,
too is people are freaking out about being sick, and it's not
yeah,
coronavirus.
well, we're in flu season.
Yeah.
So I know I even feel, because I feel a little bit of something in my throat, but I don't want to panic because it could be, just a flu, or it
Mhm.
could be nothing. I could be
Well, and
fine by
it's
tomorrow.
like for us right now, the weather is different. There's more moisture in the air, and we aren't
Hmm.
normally used to this. And so, yeah, some people's bodies have reactions to things like that. A couple weeks ago, I was very, very sick. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast that like I don't normally get sick.
Hmm.
My wife thinks it's funny because normally when I take a sick day, she comes home and the house is cleaned, and it's because I'm like, oh, I got a cough and a sneeze, and I don't kind of feel good, but I still am like doing things. This knocked me out. I was
Really?
down for the count for multiple days. And so there is another bug going around, and it is a hefty one, and I got a flu shot and all the other things too. Um, but my wife, who is normally very susceptible to illnesses, didn't catch it.
Hmm.
So it really just depends on your individual immunities and everything else. So yeah, crazy
Yeah.
times. But so moving on, Apple is planning to launch a 14.1-inch MacBook Pro
Yes. That's
with a
what I
mini
want.
LED display. This is coming from Ming Chi Kao from The Verge. And so, yeah, they're working on a 14.1-inch MacBook. I know that this is something that we've been waiting on because when they announced the 16, we were a little disappointed that the 14 didn't come. But hopefully soon, Kevin, very soon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
That note reveals that a new 27-inch iMac Pro and 7.9-inch Mac Mini may also be on the way. And those three products and a new 16-inch MacBook Pro, 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and a 10.2-inch iPad will all have mini LED displays. So, Ku has previously reported on Apple's intentions to roll out mini LEDs displays to some of its products and said in December that the company intended to release the iPad Pro in the third quarter of 2020 and a 16-inch MacBook Pro with the mini LED screens in the fourth quarter of 2020. So, in this new research note, Q's shifted the expected release dates for those products. He now says that the new iPad Pro rather, is coming in the fourth quarter of 2020 and changed the estimated release timing for the 16-inch MacBook Pro to a more general date of sometime in 2020. He also said that the new iMac Pro will be released in the fourth quarter of this year. So we predict, and this is The Verge speaking, that Apple is currently developing 6 mini LED supported products versus the previous report of only 2 products, including a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, a 27-inch iMac Pro in Q4, and a 14.1-inch MacBook Pro upgraded from the current 13, as well as a 16-inch MacBook Pro and a 10.2-inch iPad and a 7.9-inch iPad, all in 2020. So basically, if you're interested in buying any of those things, an iMac Pro, an iPad Pro, or an iPad, or a MacBook, it may be smart for you to kind of consider whether or not you can wait because there's some big enhancements coming later on in the year potentially. The iMac Pro in particular is notable because it would be the first refresh of the product since it was originally released back in December of 2017. It is very much due.
Hmm.
And the product's future has been kind of uncertain, especially with the release of the redesigned Mac Pro. But according to Ku, there is a new iMac Pro or iMac Pro, that was correct, on the horizon. Um, Q's Note is also the first to mention the new 7.9-inch iPad mini. So after years of no updates, the iPad mini was finally refreshed last March with updated chips and Apple Pencil support. And it seems as if this new update will have a new mini LED screen and will presumably get the updated processors. And given that the iPad mini also has the 7.9-inch display, however, perhaps there won't be any updates to the product's other year-old design, which still has the big bezel and the Touch ID. So it'll probably just be guts and screen that gets updated on that. But essentially, that Apple is pursuing these mini LEDs over the OLED or the OLED because it offers many of the same benefits, like localized dimming and the wide color gambit, without some of the downsides. Most importantly, the um, OLED burn-in that
Hmm.
does happen. So if you're using your devices a lot and you don't move your screen around, you are going to get that burn-in that can happen. So I think there's also some battery efficiencies that could be gained from mini LED over the OLED.
Hmm.
Um, but we'll have to see when those officially come out.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited about the MacBook Pro.
See, now I'm concerned. I don't know, because I was really eyeing the iMac, but if there's a new iMac Pro potentially coming out, I might wait and see what
Very,
the new Pro looks like.
yeah.
And I do need a new
Hmm.
monitor, but I can't bring myself to spend $5,000 on that gorgeous new XDR
That's
display.
that's a good chunk of change.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that if I got the iMac Pro, it would probably have an updated screen similar to the new display that they have, as well
Yeah.
as the better guts, so I can kind of like get them all together in one. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool.
We'll see.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So, moving on, this has been very controversial. So, Apple is apparently going to allow ads in its push notifications.
Mm.
Oh boy. So, this comes to us from iMore. Apple has recently updated its developer guidelines uh, in particular, sorry, we should pay attention to the changes of the rules about notifications because they're pretty gross. It's going down a road that probably shouldn't be walked.
Mm.
So it says developers will be able to use the notifications for promotions or direct marketing thanks to the changes. So, and it's a particular change called 4.5.4, which reads thusly: push notifications must not be required for the app function and should not be used to send sensitive personal or confidential information. Push notification should not be used for promotions or direct marketing purposes unless customers have explicitly opted in to receive them via consent language displayed in our app's UI, and you provide a method in your app for the user to opt out from receiving such messages. Abuse of these services may result in revocation of your privileges. So, yeah, so it does state that you can turn them off. But
Hmm.
this is really, man, this is not a good idea.
Well, but okay. So now that we read it and I think about it, I feel like I have had some apps that will push things to me already. Like mm, I don't know if this is actually true, but I'm just as an example, like a Target app that has
Hmm.
pushed like say 15% on shipping right now, or free shipping over the weekend.
Yeah.
Isn't
I
that's a
mean,
promotion, right? That's a marketing
yeah,
thing.
I guess it is already kind of like that. Um
I mean, I'm concerned though that at least in those cases, it's based off of things that I've done. I really would rather not have a bunch of those. And I will say, like, I'm glad that Apple has at least put in this caveat that you have to have the consumer explicitly opt in to receive them via consent language, and you have to provide a method in the app for the user to opt out. Because honestly, that's what's going to end up just making me like shut off the notifications for your app, is if all of a sudden you're pushing me a crap ton of ads.
yeah. On a side note, I have one app on my phone that sends a notification that just says notification,
That sounds super
and
helpful.
highly annoying. Like, please, can you make the developers just say something? It
Yeah.
literally just says notification, and it's very annoying.
Oh, here. So I'm actually looking at my lock screen here in my notification center, and I have
Hmm.
Walmart get floored by 30% off. Score 30% off floor care.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
so I guess we, Yeah, we kind of already have that. I have the Target app too, and I
There's
get those notifications.
Starbucks. Love this product 4 times. Love 75 stars. AMC, step into the new reality. Watch a new episode of Dispatches from anywhere else. I'm just reading a bunch of ads over our podcast. I apologize, guys. But what I'm saying is that there are currently a bunch of ads. Domino's, take a pizza break. Have a mix and match 2 items plus. So I don't understand how this is new necessarily. And also, I need to
Yeah,
go through and manage a bunch of these and just say no.
you do. Sounds
Yes.
like it. Otherwise, all you're gonna do is eat
Yes.
and
Turn
buy.
off. Yeah. Floor cleaner with my pizza in my hand. Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad that at least they're putting in those speculations that or stipulations that you have to be able to opt out.
yeah.
Um, moving on, and again, not intentionally making this podcast 50% about coronavirus, but
But
Apple
people,
is rejecting.
yeah, people should be informed though.
Yeah, it's pertinent what's
So
going on right now. Apple is rejecting coronavirus apps not from official sources, which is very smart in my opinion. And this is a report from The Hill. Apple is gatekeeping apps related to coronavirus outbreak that are not from official institutions, according to iOS developers. Several independent app developers said that Apple rejected their submissions for apps following allowing people to see stats concerning the numbers of cases different countries are experiencing from the coronavirus outbreak, according to CNBC. The data used by some unnamed developers include official records from the World Health Organization to create interactive maps displaying locations of the virus outbreaks. However, one developer said Apple's policy would only allow official health organizations or governments to release apps with this type of content. A second developer received a written response from an Apple employee saying apps with information about current medical information need to be submitted by a recognized institution. The strict rules are part of an attempt for Apple to combat the spread of misinformation by requiring only authorized sources to release apps concerning the novel coronavirus. Um, and Google is also cracking down on apps related to coronavirus for the company's Google Play Android App Store, yielding no results when users search coronavirus or COVID-19, according to the report. So Morgan Reed, the president of App Submissions, the industry group that represents app developers, defended Apple and Google barring the coronavirus-related apps, noting their sensitivities to misinformation. His quote is, "Right now, the technology industry is working very hard to ensure the platforms are not being used to provide people with false or even worse, dangerous information about the coronavirus. We see significant pressure inside and outside to halt applications and advertisements before they harm citizens." So I actually think this is a really good thing. And this reminds me, I saw a thing today. I'm going to see if I can pull it up again. But there was actually a gentleman who created a little web page
hmm,
kind of outlining the fact that design, here it is, coronavirus UX, how dashboard designs can twist your perception. And so basically, I'll add this link to the show notes because people may find it really interesting. But basically, this guy heard about the coronavirus and then went to um, to the web to kind of do some research and see if he can find information on it. Um, from the John Hopkins University, he actually found a real-time live map, and the map just kind of freaked him out because it showed just like lots of scary red bubbles on top of the earth and showed these number of total confirmed cases and the number of deaths, and kind of freaked him out. And it's like, to him, it kind of was this confirmation bias that, we tend to favor the use of information that confirms our previously existing beliefs. And so here, his thoughts were anchored with the news that he had just seen. And so then a quick look at this scary map confirms his fears while ignoring key facts. So after a little bit, he went,
interesting.
okay, wait a minute, these numbers don't quite make sense. And so went back and looked at it and realized that some of the ways that the design of the map and the UI are kind of stoking fears, because in reality, like if you look at the map from John Hopkins, all of China is just red and there's these giant
Right.
bubbles. When in reality, if it was actually proportional to the number of people in the country, um, you would see just a very small dot on top of the country. Um, but because it's showing like the amount of people who have the virus in relation to other countries, China looks really big. The other thing that it's not really conveying well is the fact that there's the stat that almost half of the people who had it are already cured. And so you see this total confirmed number, and you see this high number of deaths, but the number of uh, people who have become healthy becomes downplayed. And so um, really there's a lot that needs to be considered when you're designing an experience that showcases information like that, because um, good design can be used improperly. And so
Yeah.
even though a map is good, and even though the content and the information on it is good, its presentation of it can lead to other biases. So it's very important that things like this, it's smart that they're kind of limiting the amount of applications and things that can go out there to help stop that spread of misinformation, because it can get very, very dangerous very, very fast if people start panicking, freaking out.
Yeah. I could see that too because if you had an app that had a lot of false information and the proper design to kind of lure someone in and make them believe it, it can be pretty dangerous.
Hmm. I mean,
So,
likewise, it could also be used the other way. So in this case, the map that the guy saw was a little bit more alarmist.
yeah,
But it could also be used the other way, where if it's not struck that right balance, things could be downplayed and
right,
deprioritized, and you have people who aren't taking things seriously, right? And are
right.
like, I don't need to wash my hands, or no, it's fine, I'm still going to, that concert and stuff like that. And it's just people are just being wusses. It's like, no, there's reasons for it, and proper information and understanding needs to be done. So.
Yeah. Well, man.
Sorry, I'll
Yeah,
get off
it's
my soapbox now.
yeah. Well, it's good they're keeping those out of the app store. It's a good
Yeah.
idea. Anyways, well, I don't know if this is the best time for this, but Apple Maps could soon offer travel recommendations.
Once
So,
everything, blows over, it'll be
yeah.
good.
Yeah, maybe they don't need to rush into this. Anyways, this comes to us from iDrop News. So, a new job listing spotted by The Verge suggesting that Apple is looking to begin editorializing and offering its own opinions for locations found in Apple Maps. And this is similar kind of to what the new Google Maps does. There's
Hmm.
features like that. Um, so the new job listing, which appeared briefly this week but has since been deleted, that's interesting, was captured by The Verge and was seeking a product manager, maps writer, editor to be based in Culver City, California. The job was described as helping to build and grow brand new content category for Apple Maps team by working with both groups inside of Apple as well as strategically meaningful external partners. Additional clues as to exactly what Apple is up to here include comments like building exciting and engaging editorial content to help Maps users explore the world, and asking applicants have an insatiable curiosity for discovering new places and a passion for telling the world in an engaging manner, as well as knowledge of food, travel, and shopping trends. So,
I think
yeah,
this is
so
cool. It's allowing me to get more of that information in a single place, right? So instead of having to go to Google to try to find it while I'm in the map, I can get some of those cool recommendations.
yeah. So I don't know if we need to read this whole thing, but you know, I would imagine they're postponing this. That's probably why it was deleted. I don't know. Or maybe they'll work on it and just kind of get it ready, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
and
seem
then
like now would be the best time, but
no, in a
I
couple months, when
yeah.
things start coming back to normal, and people are starting to look for recommendations on where to go, because people are only going to be able to stay inside for so long. I think this
Yeah.
will be great. So I wouldn't be surprised if in a few podcasts we're talking about its release, and everything's super cool.
Yeah, and like I said, Google Maps already kind of has this. They have restaurant recommendations,
Hmm.
business reviews, and even a borderline social networking experience in their app. So, yeah, I'm sure they're just competing with that. Apple wanting to do something similar, but maybe better.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Another quick little blurb. Apple is recommending Apple Park employees to work from home due to coronavirus concerns. This is a trend we're seeing across many other offices and organizations. And so I think it's also smart. But yeah, just an interesting little tidbit on that.
Yeah, that that seems like a given. You
Hmm.
know, um,
I think we're going to hear a lot of places doing that. We already have started, but I think we're going to hear a lot more.
yeah. I would expect on this subject. I would expect that any day now they would announce that they're not doing a March
A March
event.
event, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll
Um,
do another like live stream, but just not have everybody there.
yeah, that would be cool. You know, I actually think they may not have a choice either because I heard that Santa Clara County, where Apple is located, uh, any events that are 1,000 people or more are banned.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and I
I
think the
mean,
Steve Jobs Theater holds 1,000 people, something like that.
yeah.
So,
So they might have, or it might just be a very limited thing, right? Where they're like they instead of having all of the people there, they have a just a small handful.
yeah,
Um, Interesting to see.
yeah.
What will
So,
be kind of cool is I think what this is going to mean though is now a lot of companies are going to start adopting practices and rules of engagement for working from home.
yeah,
So we may see as a society this kind of flux happen where more offices find benefits and we'll start getting more stats and information about the impact of working from home and it may become more and more commonplace actually.
yeah, yeah, that would be cool. Um, Moving on, and actually, this we kind of need this now. So, Apple's developing a fitness app for iOS 14 that lets you download guided workout videos.
This is super
I
cool.
Yeah, but like I said, it seems like a good time now while a lot of people are trapped at home.
Yeah, yeah.
We should just work on that ASAP and drop it now.
Yeah.
So, this comes to us from Mac Rumors. Apple appears to be working on a new fitness app for the iPhone, Apple Watch, and Apple TV that is designed to let users download guided fitness related videos that will walk them through various workouts. The app, which is codenamed Seymour, may be named Fit or Fitness when it is released. Apple appears to be aiming to release the app in iOS 14, watchOS 7, and tvOS 14, and it seems to be a standalone app that will be available alongside an existing activity app or the existing activity app. Um, with the fitness app, users may be able to download fitness videos that cover a full range of workout options and activities, getting guidance on completing those activities on the Apple Watch. And Apple provides a gallery of different workout routines that can be downloaded and synced to the Apple Watch, with the videos themselves shown on an iPhone, iPad, or Apple TV. The
Hmm.
Apple Watch appears to be used to track your progress through each workout routine, similar to how the Apple Watch can track existing fitness activities through the Activity app. Apple appears to be providing workouts through its fitness app for free. That would be awesome. And there is
Yeah.
no in app purchases or costs associated with the content at this time. It looks like Apple is working on a wide variety of activity types, including indoor running, cycling, rowing, stretching, core training, strength training, outdoor walking, dance, and yoga. While Apple seems to be working on these features for the next software updates expected this fall, there's no guarantee that this functionality will make it to the finalized versions of iOS 14, watchOS 7, and tvOS 14. Man, this would be the coolest thing. And related to the Apple Watch, it would give them a little bit of an upper hand because I happen to know the Fitbit watches have like kind of sort of, I've never used one, but
Hmm.
sort of guided workouts on the watch, right?
Hmm.
So this would be amazing to do a workout in front of your Apple TV and have it connecting with your Apple Watch and kind of following along, but having a big screen instead of trying to do a guided workout on your watch. I even use, or I was using this kind of 7-minute high intensity interval training app, and it would kind of guide you, but be nicer on a big screen, you know?
Yeah.
So this would be
Yeah.
really cool. And please, Apple, if you're listening, keep it free because that would definitely give you an upper hand over those other, smart activity watch
Yeah.
makers. So
I could see them eventually opening it up to having sponsored content. So maybe like, you could have certain classes or something from some fitness guru or something like that kind of come in and make ones and then have like an ad that runs before or after it for that service or for those locations. But ideally, I think there's a way to do this and to make them free and have like baseline ones or even offer a premium version that has like specialized classes or something, kind of like a Peloton. But maybe attach it to your purchase for Apple TV Plus or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. Or maybe even like Apple Music, if you've subscribed to that. But
yeah,
there's some. I think this is really cool and a
yeah.
really good offering. I'm
So far,
excited for it.
yeah, I haven't seen like a ton of rumors on iOS 14, but this one really caught my eye because this would be amazing. I would love this, especially
Yeah,
for free. Because a lot of those apps, the subscription's a little pricey on some of
yeah.
them.
This
So
this is definitely moving forward too, and to something that we had mentioned in previous podcasts about the fact that Apple is repositioning themselves from a hardware company to a services company. And so, if they can push this into, it's another iteration of their service model, kind of coming in. I think it's a really good, smart spot.
yeah. Anyways, well, why don't we move on? There's a few items here in our for your entertainment section, and you may need some entertainment if
Yeah,
you're
coming
at
up.
home. Yeah. So, at the end of February, if you missed it, Lady Gaga's new Stupid Love video was released, and the entire video was shot on an iPhone 11 Pro.
Wow.
So, yeah, kind of neat. Um, if you're a fan of Lady Gaga, you might want to check it out. And I watched it. The quality is pretty decent,
Hmm.
pretty nice. So we'll have a link for that in the show notes. And then this was kind of cool. Apple Japan shared an anime themed behind the Mac video. I love this one. Really super cool. So it's up on Apple's YouTube channel. Um, it's called Behind the Mac, of course. And the video features anime characters using the Mac set to music from Japanese artist Yoshino Nakamura. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Uh sort of, I think. But so it's really cool. It's news stories are born one after another. Story is not yet in the world. Come on to you. That's what it says in there. Um Featured characters from the animated movies and shows that include Weathering with You, Wonderland, Gridman, Your Name, Yama no Susumi, and more, which I know none of those, but I would
Same.
guess that they're popular in Japan. And
Hmm.
maybe I should know some of them because I love the video or the ad. Super
Hmm.
cool. So you might want to check that out. It's really cool. And then we had mentioned on a previous episode that uh, Apple was doing a night mode shot on iPhone contest. So they have revealed the winners of that. And so you might want to check those out. They're really, really nice, really neat photos. This next one is pretty cool. Apple shares a trailer for upcoming animated Apple TV series Central Park. So this is going to be released on Apple TV on May 29th. And it's created by Lauren Bouchard, known for Bob's Burgers. The series follows a family of caretakers who live in and work in Central Park and end up saving the park and the world.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so Apple has already ordered 26 episodes of the show, split into two 13-episode seasons. Season 1 premieres in May, as we said, and the first 3 episodes will be available at launch, with one
Mhm.
episode premiering per week after that. So if you want to check out the trailer, we'll have a link in the show notes for that.
Yeah, I really
So
like Bob's Burgers too, so I'm kind of excited about this. Um,
yeah, I'm on the fence about it being a musical, but
yeah, we'll see.
and yeah,
I, w- I will say it says here said that the voice cast includes Kristen Bell and Josh Gad. So they basically, took two Frozen voice actors.
okay.
And also, I don't know what's going on, but Josh Gad is in everything nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like I see him in all like tons of stuff. I started watching Avenue 5 on HBO, and he's in that as well. But yeah, anyways, I'm interested in this. I think it'll be cool.
Cool. Yeah. Check out the trailer. So, why don't we move on to our current favorite pick or tip? So, now just want to tell people we'll include tips too.
Hmm.
If we maybe don't have a pick that week, or just feel like there's an important tip. So, mine, I'll go first. Mine kind of borderline on being tips and picks all at the same time. I thought it was important. I know we've like talked about COVID-19 and coronavirus to, no end.
Hmm.
But I think it's important to make sure that people get correct information. I have a couple things to go over here. From Apple Insider, they made a list of the best iPhone apps and resources for accurate COVID-19 information, which is important. And I noticed when I search the App Store, if you search COVID-19 or coronavirus, you only get a few options. So, in other
Hmm.
words, really the CDC should come up, their app should come up, but it doesn't because the App Store search is still pretty broken.
Yeah.
so, so this list provides the CDC app and a bunch of other apps that provide you with the correct information, right? So apps you might want to have on your phone, might want to get notifications from, stuff like that. And that just depends on your own opinion. Sometimes taking in too much information kind of makes you paranoid, but it's kind of up to you. But I thought I would provide it.
Hmm.
So we'll have a link for that for sure. And then, as we mentioned already, just want to mention again, but there's special coverage of the coronavirus um, in Apple News Spotlight. There's a section for it. So then another thing is I've heard some podcasts go over how to clean your phone and other devices because you might want to
Hmm.
do that. What I heard, and I don't know if it's correct, so don't quote me on it, but once a week, something like that, you want to wipe it down. Now, all the podcasts I listen to, they went over exactly how to do it. Now, this being that our podcast only focuses on Apple devices, I have a link from Apple that offers cleaning suggestions for all of its products. So you might want to, check out that link and keep it, maybe
Hmm.
bookmark it, something like that, because this will go over all your devices because obviously they vary depending on,
Yeah.
laptop or device or
Yeah.
a,
What
a
materials
phone.
are used for it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing too, because all the tech shows and podcasts I've listened to, they mention about cleaning your screen, right? And they don't mention anything about cleaning the case, which seemed very odd to me. Obviously, if you have a leather case or some other specialized material, you can't just be wiping, alcohol on it,
Mm-hmm.
or an alcohol based cleaning solution. So you would want to check with your own manufacturer where you got the case. But for someone like me, I have like a TPU kind of rubber plastic case, and that I know can easily be washed with soap and water, right?
Hmm.
With an antibacterial soap and water. I think that would work. I'm not positive on that, but I still would clean it. So I'll be doing that myself, cleaning it, drying it, let it dry for a while. But yeah, we'll have links to all these so you could clean your devices, try to just kind of mitigate, germs being about on different surfaces because they tell you to wipe surfaces, which would be desks and, rails and shopping carts, but that would definitely include your laptop or device if you were, if you somehow are still shaking someone's hand and touch your device, or
Right.
you touch your device at a market. And I think all of us kind of do it by accident. They tell you not to touch your face. I'm like, oh my God, I just did it today. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
I
I
even
don't
went
know if
to,
I've started doing it more or if I just realize it now, but I keep having to stop myself.
yeah. And I filled up my truck with fuel, and, got in the truck and was going to use some hand sanitizer, and then got a phone call and totally forgot to use the hand sanitizer. And I'm like, oh no.
Well, and now whatever was on the gas nozzle
Pump.
is now
Yeah.
on your phone.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm getting to. So yeah, you do probably want to clean your phone and other devices if you use your laptop a lot, and your iPad and your iPhone, even your Apple Watch, of course, too. So oddly enough, it does say HomePod. I don't know why you would be touching your HomePod, but if you touch your HomePod, then yeah, it does. Apple does give you directions on how to clean your HomePod and all these devices. So I think that pretty much covers it uh, for my COVID-19 coronavirus cleaning
Yeah.
solutions and where to get your information. Also, be careful. I would say uh, when I spoke about the accurate resources, kind of keep yourself informed within accurate information. A lot of people go to YouTube. Be
Hmm.
careful on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is amazing, and you can learn from YouTube, and it's incredible, right? But there's a lot of false information. It can be a cesspool of false
Yeah.
information. So
Yep.
just because Steve in his basement gave you a bunch of information about coronavirus, that doesn't mean that it's accurate, because Steve in his basement may not know very much, and he may be getting false information. So it's really important to go to sources that are well
Hmm.
vetted and accurate. So just be careful. Anyways, why don't you lighten it up with your pick?
Yeah. So, if you need some distraction from everything that's going on or some fun reading while you are um, trapped in the house, I have great news.
Oh,
So, Gary,
wait,
yeah.
wait, I forgot one last thing. Sorry.
Hmm.
Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but also, if you do want to get information on a daily basis, there's a new podcast called Coronavirus Daily Briefing Podcast, and it's pretty good. It can be a little scary, even, uh,
Mm.
but it's hosted by a guy named Brian McCullough. He's very good. He also hosts a podcast called Tech Meme Ride Home. So um, it's very, very informative if you want like a good 10-15 minutes of information without, watching the news or whatever. Pretty good. Um, like I said, just a forewarning that some of the information could be a little scary. So it's up to you
Yeah.
whether you want to
Well, and
be
remember,
bombarded with more information or not, but it's good. So we'll have a link in the show notes for that as well.
yeah, if you get concerned, then just start doing your own research and try to find, all aspects of that information.
Yeah.
So, but
Sorry, back to the
if you're
lighter
looking,
side.
if you're looking for something fun, Gary Larson, who is, if you're not familiar, is the author of the Far Side comic strip, and this is a comic strip that's been going on for quite some time. He actually stopped creating comics about 25 years ago, but there was a bunch of comics that had been published from AMU and kind of delivered, out into the world. Actually, has finally created a website, and so before he had no intention of having any of his stuff on the internet, um, but has decided to finally put it up here. And so I want to read a little excerpt from his website as to why he decided to do this. But it says here, I'm trying to exert some control over my cartoons, has always been an uphill slog. And I've sometimes wondered if my absence from the web may have inadvertently fueled someone's belief that my cartoons were up for grabs. They're not. But it's always been inherently awkward to chase down a Far Side festooned website when the person behind it is often simply a fan. Although not everyone is quite as uncomplicated in their motives, my cartoons have been taken and used to help sell everything from donuts to rodent control. At least I offer some range. So I'm hopeful that this official website will help temper the impulses of the infringement inclined. Please, whoever you are, take down my cartoons and let this website become your place to stop by for a smile, a laugh, or a good old-fashioned recoiling, and I won't have to release the Kraken cow. So if you're not familiar, the Far Side comics are a great kind of commentary just on Earth and on people, and also just a really interesting way to kind of look at different things. I remember being a kid and finding his comics in the library in a comic book or a collection book, I should say, of comics. And they're mostly just like individual one drawing with like a caption or something like that. That's kind of shows a fun little idea or concept, right? So if you're looking for some fun levity, check it out. I've actually saved it to my phone home screen because basically every day the website offers, because he has so many of them, just a sampling of different comics. So for a quick little, pick me up after some rough news or something, you can hit the Farside website. That's thefarside.com and maybe get a good little laugh. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, this would be very good. Actually, this is a great pick because if you have downtime and want to keep yourself entertained, it's a very good way. I haven't looked at the
Mm-hmm.
Far Side in years, but it would be
Yeah,
great.
they're lots of fun, and sometimes you have to really kind of look at them to fully understand it. But some of them are just really, really funny and just catch me off guard. So highly, highly recommend them.
Cool. Cool. Well, we'll be back in a few weeks, and I hope that everyone stays safe and healthy.
Mm-hmm. When in doubt, wash your hands.
Yeah, wash those hands. Don't touch your face. Well, that's it for this episode of the Apple Watchers. Read all the stories we've covered and more stories on Flipboard, a link provided in the show notes. Follow us on Facebook at the Apple Watchers Podcast and on Twitter at Watchers Tweet. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also ask your smart speaker to play the Apple Watchers Podcast. Please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen. And thank you again for listening. Until the next episode, I hope the only complications in your life are the ones on the face of your Apple Watch.